Now we have a panel discussion. I extend a warm and respectful welcome to each one of you to this special session, Santavani panel discussion, part of Santavani 2025. Over these past days, Santavani has carried us through the songs, stories, and philosophies of our great Santa Paramparas through films, talks, music, dance, and reflection drawn from many traditions. This evening's panel brings those many threads together on a single platform so that we may listen, reflect, and carry home a more integrated understanding of the voice of the Santas, the Santavani. To guide us this conversation, we are deeply honored to have with us Shri K.G. Raghavan sir, Chairman, Bharatiya Vidya Bhavan, Bengaluru, Moderator for this panel discussion. Sir, it is our privilege to have you steer these dialogues today. May I request you, Shri K.G. Raghavan, to kindly come on to the dais and take your seat as moderator. Joining Shri Raghavan on this distinguished panel are eminent scholars. May I request Shri G.N. Devi, Professor of Eminence and Director of the School of Civilization, Somaya Vidya Vihara University, Mumbai. Srimati Leena Mehendale, former Additional Chief Secretary to the Government of Maharashtra and Chairman Bharatiya Vidya Bhavan, Pune, to kindly come on to the stage and take your seats.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Over the last 12 days, we have gone through a magnificent journey. I would be wrong if I simply say it was historical. I would be wrong if I say it was a journey to a wealth of knowledge. I would be wrong if I simply say it was a spiritual journey. It was a mix of everything, and I do not have a word to say what experience we all had. In fact, it is an experience. It is as good as saying, how does a rose smell? I mean, it is not possible to explain unless you smell the rose. Therefore, we have gone through these 12 days. We have enjoyed every bit of what was told to us, what was shown to us. We have had drama, we have had music, we have had people singing, we have had people lecturing, we have had people quoting from various scriptures, and opened our eyes to the wealth, the real wealth of mankind that India has contributed to the whole world. That is Bharatiya tradition. That is Bharatiya Vidya. And I am sure it is that which our founder, Dr. K. Munshi had in his mind when he named this wonderful institution, which was his conception, as Bharatiya Vidya Bhavan. It showed to us that Bharatiya Vidya has no limitations in terms of language, region, religion, caste, gender, nationality, and the method of communication. It connected our hearts through various mediums. Therefore, the message that has been told to us till now is, do not confuse the hearts with the medium. All the differences that we call as differences is only in the medium. And ultimately, It is the connecting of the hearts which is very important. That's exactly what all the saints and savants and seers of this country have told us. Possibly somewhere along the way, we missed the route and understood them wrongly and magnified the differences, resulting in breakdown of relationships. It is to correct that error, that mishap, that losing track, that Bharatiya Vidya Bhavan conceived of this program called Santavani. It is a humble contribution to telling the world that we are not divided. We are united in diversity. We enjoy diversity. We are happy being diverse. And while it is good to find unity in diversity, it is equally important to enjoy diversity. And the essence of diversity enjoyment is tolerance. That is what has been conveyed to us. Now, over the last 12 days, we have been taken through, as I said, history. We have been told how centuries ago, almost at the beginning of AD, we have had various saints and savants of this country preach human values. That is one aspect of it. Now, the challenge lies in taking it forward. How do we address that problem? How do we address the issue of a lack of, I do not want to use the word credibility because that's a very strong word, the lack of faith that people have in the present day savants and seers. It's a very touchy subject. Every day in the newspaper, you have something or the other. I am not on whether it is true or false. I don't know. You have something or the other that comes in the newspaper, and unfortunately, it is so prevalent in the social media of something being said about institutions and about the heads of institutions who are supposed to be our gurus. Now, how do I reconcile all this? The purpose of all this 12-day program will be lost unless we take a message to our youngsters going forward. It is for that reason that this panel discussion has been organized. I now request, Madam, to put your views on how do we take this message of our seers, which have come down to us for centuries, forward and enable the youngsters to have and continue to have faith in what has been said. I can say, many people say, well, all this is hypocrisy. You say one thing, you do another. How do we know, therefore? How do we know, therefore? It's okay. How do we now, therefore, reconcile this statement? We cannot brush this sentiment under the carpet.
Thank you very much. Uh, Actually, we are at a very critical stage as far as our generation is concerned. We imbibed certain sanskaras, certain values from our parents, grandparents. And somewhere down the line, when it came to passing those sanskaras to our children, somewhere we have faltered. And it is a little too late to repent about that. At the same time, when we look at the newer generation, what what I find is two very different type of moods. One, extremely curious, extremely knowledge hungry, in many ways innovative, much more imaginative than what my generation was. On the other hand, a very big dichotomy I see, that equally we are finding the rise in the number of children committing suicides, especially those who are involved in school education, like Bharatiya Vidya Bhavan Pune is, or Bangalore is. We are finding it very difficult to reconcile to this position that children are frustrated, they are angry, they are thinking of suicide, and somehow the whole ecosystem around us doesn't seem to be uh, tackling this particular point. What is it that is making the children or even the college going youth so much frustrated that at a very shortest provocation they feel that that's the end of life and they go for the option of suicide? So that I think it is here that the importance of what is Bharatiya Vidya that comes to our help. Very often, I mean, throughout my career also, uh, in my young days and during my service days, I always wondered that if I am doing an MBA course and I'm taught about management, then the whole philosophy of management which we learn in India today, which we are taught, our syllabus and our entire books, etc., everything is, to me, looks very much as borrowed from the West. And therefore, we get to learn about what is the Western concept or Western philosophy behind the word management. And very early in my service, I started thinking about this particular aspect, that as per the Western management theories, if you are not ambitious, then you are looked down upon. Being ambitious for success, for money, for knowledge, name it, name any quality, but being ambitious is at the core of Western management philosophy. Whereas compared to that, if we look at the Indian concept of management, then we are equally happy with not being ambitious. Shun ambition, shun the competitive element. You don't have to be in competition with others. If at all, you should be in competition with yourself. Are you day by day improving yourself or not improving yourself? But it is very much an accepted idea in Indian ethos that you always need not be, everyone need not be ambitious, and you also may may be ambitious for some time in your life, but you need not be ambitious the whole for the entire life of yours. So we have a very important word, which is santosh. And I have also been trained in Sanskrit by my father. And I realized that in the Indian vocabulary, and I am talking of the entire Indian vocabulary, we have some very typical words which have a very big connotation. And it is not easy to translate them or express the same connotations in English or any other European. I mean, I know only English as the only European language, but I don't know whether the similar words or similar concepts exist in other languages. So sometimes it is very important to also pay attention to what is our vocabulary teaching us. And Santosh, we have been reading many shlokas, many poems, Jab Ave Santosh Dhan used to be my favorite lines. Godhan, Gajadhan, Varidhan, or Ratan Dhan Khan, Jab Ave Santosh Dhan, Sab Dhan Dhuri Saman. So if you are Santoshi, then all other types of richness doesn't matter. So this concept also allows us to accept the all the frustrations, all the failures in our life. It teaches us to look back, analyze, see the causes, improve. But it, first of all, it teaches us to accept that. Whereas if we miss out this particular value while imparting education to our newer generation, then very easily they are led to frustration. I can elaborate, I can talk about similar 10 other words which convey something which is very, very Bharatiya. And the Indian concept about that word is very, very different from the Western concept about the same word. For example, since we have a very eminent, what shall I say, eminent advocate sitting here with us, I want to mention one more area where I see the vast difference of basic concept. So in the British system of justice delivery, which we learned from them and which we are practicing even today, your loyalty and affiliation to your client is of utmost importance. And when I say judiciary, I include the advocate community also as a part of judiciary, even the investigative committee as a community as part. But specifically coming to the advocates, loyalty to your client, that is supreme. Nothing else should come between that. Whereas under Indian concept of justice delivery, we say allegiance and loyalty to truth is supreme. So you see this very big difference in the very ideology, and which I feel if Bharatiya Vidya Bhavan has to sort of start this kind of discourse where we are at least able to learn for ourselves that these are the different alternatives available for us if we have to properly guide the younger generation and ensure that there is no this high level of frustration which we see together. We have very recently, I mean, when I started learning English, I never thought of a word which is so common word today, which is wokeism. WOKISM. I mean, even today I feel, have I understood the word properly? So this wokeism which has entered into our psyche, that has to be corrected in the light of various Indian concepts. But for that, we have to begin by starting to understand what are these Indian concepts really. So, with these opening remarks.
Thank you. You have raised some very critical issues, and I will just flag them and leave it to our learned panelist here to say about it. Now, between what it was when our ancient saints and seers gave us all these messages and to what it is today, there is a sea change. Today, the world has shrunk. We are a very small village. Communication has become very easy. We do compare ourselves to what is happening elsewhere in the world. In that sense, we are in competition. In the course of the various lectures, we heard how materialistic attitude has ruined the santosh that Madam mentioned. Now, for that reason, is it practical to say that a youngster should not have ambition? That an youngster should not compare himself or herself with somebody else? You should not be in competition with somebody else and you have to be in competition with yourself. Is that going to be practical? Is it possible to say that in this materialistic world you will live without the need for money? Would you say that you do not earn for the sake of your living? Now, how do we reconcile, therefore, to the demands of the modern world where everything is comparable to somebody else? Everything that I do is judged on the basis of what somebody else does. Now, how do we therefore reconcile these eternal values like being unattached, being composed, being in a state of santosh, being in a state of happiness, being in a state of peace, undisturbed, what is happening around me? Now, is it practical? I pose this question and leave it to you, sir, to answer it.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, madam. Between the two of you, you already said everything that was worth saying. So I'll just add a few worthless words. I think without any doubt, without any question, Indian civilization has been among the most resilient civilizations in the world. The Egyptian came up and went down. The Latin American civilizations, Inca and came up and went down. We have continued unbroken. There is no break in our history. There have been turning points, but no tragic or significant conspicuous break as such. We continued. There has to be a reason for that continuation. And that reason, as far as I understand, is that Indians have accepted with open arms all those who came here and all the ideas that came here. And every time India was ready to accept, there was a renewal of the tradition. Our modernity is not a breakaway from tradition. Our modernity is a continuation of tradition. But at the same time, our modernity is not a replication of tradition. It is a renewal of tradition. Let me take particular historical instance. At the end of the 18th century, when Rajaram Mohan Rai wrote a seminal book in Persian language called Monotheism, he was saying that God in all religions is the same. This is 1804, if I'm not wrong. Soon after that book came out, that was the last major book written in the Persian language in our country. And it actually had absorbed all that was very good in the Persian tradition, that is tradition of love. So Rajaram Mohan Rai was writing about love between one religion and another religion and third religion, saying that God is the same everywhere. It's all same in all of us. Soon after that book came out, a very creative debate came up in Bengal. And that debate is named by historians as Nutana versus Sanatana. The young generation plunged for the Nutana. And those who plunge for Sanatana, not Sanatana in the technical sense in which Madam has been using that term, but that which is bygone, that which is already faded, that which was dropped off by earlier generations, they got estranged from the flow of times, and the new ones came up with new idea of governance, new idea of social relationship, new idea of cultural rights, new idea of how homes have to be, particularly women. All this, sati and all that happened in the decades following the Rajaram Mohan Rai created first the Brahmo Sabha and then what is it? Brahmo Samaj. Brahmo Samaj. Brahmo Samaj was talking of a society based on the value of, as Honorable Sir said, ancient civilizational value of harmony. We have cherished the value called harmony between humans and other animals, human and nature, between one's body and one's mind. Harmony is the foundational value of our civilization. The word is Greek word, and it's not just santulan. Harmony is a kind of an equilibrium among material and mental, among human and non-human, us and all the others. Today, I think our society lacks a good debate. The debates we have are bad debates. They are debates about what mistakes you did, and you saying what mistakes I did. And people saying what mistakes Nehru did, and others saying what mistakes Narendra Modi is doing. That's not a debate. It's acrimony. That's the technical legal term. Acrimony is accusing each other pointlessly. We need a new debate, and then what the young people need and they deserve is a new debate. And in my opinion, there is only one new debate possible in the world, because, as you rightly said, no land is an island. No country, no human is, like John Donne had said, no person is an island. No country, no civilization an island anymore at all. It is impossible. If one were to say, no, we are outstanding and all others are trash, I think that is a self-delusion, quite frankly. It's important pride, quite frankly. We belong to the world in which democracy has failed in all countries, and it has failed in our country also. We need to accept that and figure out. I'm not saying that there's a replacement for democracy. I'm saying when democracy fails, democracy needs to be reinvigorated in the interest of everybody. we the people of India, in the interest of we the people of India, by creating a new idea of democracy. And we have fortunately the wherewithals for that in our civilization. And that is, if we look at the climate crisis and the ecological disaster, I think we need a democracy which many scientists, political scientists are describing today as cosmocracy. That is not just the governance of people for people, that's the popular definition, by people, of people, etc., etc. That's old. It should be now governance for all species, all species. Let every life live. My Bengali writer friend Mahashweta Devi, Jagdish Bhai has seen, her ashes are laid in the institution which I created in the village. This inscription: let every dream, let every dream have a life. Let every species have life. We are killing. I mean, in the name of our progress, we're destroying the cosmos. There's no point in worshipping God, at the same time destroying the beautiful, the dharti, beautiful cosmos God has created. God or whoever created. Whether there is God or not is not important for me. What is important, the cosmos has, and the key word you said, diversity, immense diversity. Life. I'm not talking of an individual. Life as a principle can go ahead and not meet with extermination. Only diversity is there. That's a scientific view of evolution of life. In order to preserve that diversity, we need a new idea of democracy. That, I think, will be good for young people. Then they can debate whether that idea is good or something better they have, or they want to stick to the old one. There is no point in my forcing them to no, let me use a different sentence. Let me say the same thing differently. I cannot take them forward by taking them backward. As plain as that. If we have to take our young people, see, today young people are lost interest in all the things that we do, old people do, because we're not thinking of taking them forward. We want them to be like us and like our grandfathers and grandmothers. That is, what is good in our grandfathers and grandmothers must go forward, but in a different shape, different structure. It has to be renewed. It has to be new for them. They have to discover it, and then they will start valuing us and our grandfathers and grandmothers and ancient times. And Upanishads are sublime, absolutely poetic. I mean, every time I read an Upanishad, particularly, I mean, I mentioned Brihadaranyaka earlier, but if I read the Katha Upanishad, I literally cry. The nobility in it stirs my soul. There are many days when I wake up early in the morning at 4 or so, and for hours together, I keep reading some Upanishads. But I shall not slap an Upanishad on the head of a young person because I like it. Let them come to that point by going through their struggles of ideas. If they don't have a struggle with an idea, they will get into this impotent acrimony which has surrounded us. Quite frankly, forgive me, some of you may not like it, some of you might agree rather too easily. I will stop in a moment. Our society is overladen with poison today. To cleanse it, we need to move ahead rather than forcing anyone to be like me. You force me to be like you or mob lynch me, that's not good. I force you to be like me or abuse you, that is not good. New ideas, satatam nutanam, is the path ahead. That strength our history has given, because we have been a resilient society by accepting and renewing our society all along. These are my humble views for you to take or leave. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. This has been eye-opening remarks from your side. Now, there is another angle to this discussion that I would like to raise. We have, on the one hand, certain facts which can be scientifically proved. There are certain things which are incapable of being proved with a scientific logic. Now, today, the modern generation, and I credit them for it, do not accept anything unless it is proved in accordance with scientific principles. Now, how do I therefore convince them that there is something beyond science which cannot be perceived through our sense organs, and therefore, where science ends, religion, I'm not using the word religion in the loose sense of the term, I'm using the word religion as a way of life, that where science ends, religion begins. Where physics ends, metaphysics begins. Yes, that's right. Where physics ends, metaphysics begins. And now, when you mentioned about Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, I was reminded of a very interesting distinction that has been made there between brain and mind. Now, all that we have discussed till now, in the last several days, is touching that aspect of our personality which you can call as the mind. Now, what does a psychiatrist do? Does a psychiatrist treat the brain, or does a psychiatrist treat the mind? What does a neurologist do? Treats the brain. Now, all that we have heard over the last several days is, in fact, to treat the mind. Now, this distinction between brain and mind is the essence of all the teachings of our seers. They concentrated on treating the mind. If the mind is treated, madam, the problem that you mentioned about the problem of suicide amongst youngsters will be resolved. Therefore, we have to therefore tell our youngsters, look, what you're saying is right, but beyond what you can see, there is something more. Now, if you ask me to prove that something more with the help of our sense organs and with the help of scientific principles, we will fail. And the best tutor is life. So all that, as he rightly indicated, do not slap the Upanishad on the face of a youngster. Possibly the best way is, well, we understand what you're saying. We understand that at this stage of your life, your thinking is so, but keep in your mind space some portion of it to assimilate what life will teach you. And what life teaches is what the various savants and seers said. In fact, Sri Ramakrishna came up with a very beautiful parable. When he was asked, you are saying so many things about afterlife. You are saying so many things about spiritualism. Prove to me. He said, look, I will explain this to you with reference to a parable. Here is a salt doll. And the salt doll said, I will jump into this water and come back and tell you how deep this is. And no salt doll came back because all salt dolls melted. Now that is the essence of our philosophy. It is incapable of being proved by scientific principles. For the reason that the salt doll did not come and tell you, would you say the salt is not there in the water? No. It is not possible to come to that conclusion. That would be an irresponsible conclusion. And the best teacher in life is life itself. Another angle to this concept of materialism and non-attachment and detachment. And according to me, detachment is a very difficult concept even to understand. Maybe non-attachment is less difficult to understand than detachment, but both of them are extremely difficult to practice. Possibly what was being conveyed when the Gita said, Karmanyevadikaraste mapaleshu kadachana. What is it that actually was being told to us? The light in the candle is different from the candle. The heat in the fire is different from the fire. Therefore, when we were told that do not have attachment to the result, possibly what was being told to us, and I think that that's a very fair way of balancing the divergent thoughts, is to say, do not have an emotional attachment to the result. Of course, when I study for my examination and you ask a student, why are you studying? The student is entitled to say and should say, and all of us as parents and grandparents would tell our children, you should get a first rank. You should do well in your examination. Now can you say, no, study for study's sake, don't worry whether you get a first rank or not? Is that a practical way of doing things? Not at all. On the contrary, we all want to encourage our children to say, please study well, I want you to be the best in your class. Now, what is it that we have to say additionally? Look, if you don't get it, don't have that sense of disappointment. That is the attachment to the result that we do not want you to have. And there is another angle to this. The moment we show this type of anxiety towards the result, not that we want to discard the result, the moment we show this anxiety towards the result, given our limited capability as human beings today, unlike our forefathers who lived long, who lived healthy, unlike them, we do not have that capability of doing things efficiently, at the same time having the anxiety. Large part of our energy will be dissipated towards the anxiety that we entertain towards getting the result. If that anxiety is removed and you look at the result as a matter of fact and not with that type of an emotion like the heat in the fire, then do you think that we will be able to tell our youngsters, of course you should aim high, but today focus on what you have to do, namely study. That possibly is the reasonable interpretation that one can give to this concept of nishkama karma. What do you say, madam? Your views on it.
Sir, a very, very famous, I think perhaps the most famous line of Bhagavad Gita is Karmanyeva adhikaraste ma phaleshu kadachana. I call it a little unfortunate that we decided to make that as the most favorite quote. Just 2 shlokas beyond, and you have another phrase, yogaha karmasu kaushalam. Now, if you compare these 2 sentences, and they are coming in very quick succession, and there is a third phrase which is also coming in very quick succession, which says samatvam yoga uchyate. So we have three definitions of yoga in quick succession. And I would like to begin with yoga karmasu kaushalam. Efficiency in your work is equal to yoga. That's the meaning. Now, when you want to be efficient, question arises, why do you want to be efficient? And how do you decide that you are efficient? That the proof of efficiency lies in achieving what you wanted to achieve. So, success does matter. And whatever efforts you need to put for getting that kaushalam, that matters. Now, I will first come to the next definition, samatvam yoga uchyate, and then go back to the first definition. What is said? You have made all your efforts. I mean, this is the first doctrine. You must make utmost efforts in order to get that efficacy and efficiency so that you achieve what you have begun to, you have started working for. You must do that. Make the utmost effort with utmost efficiency and see to it that you are effective. But it may happen that ultimately you remain short of achieving what you wanted to achieve. Okay, so at that time, remember your journey. What has this journey taught you? You may not have succeeded, you may have failed, you may have remained a little bit short of achieving what you wanted to achieve. But what has this journey taught you? Hasn't it taught you anything? So start looking positively at it. And therefore, don't be, when you look at your failure, simultaneously look at what has been the gain of this journey. And then you will find a balance between the two, and that samatva, you appreciate that this failure and this learning both are equally important for me. So that is another sign of yoga. Then I come to the first definition, karmanyevadhikaraste ma phaleshu kadachana. So it actually, this is stated first and then elaborated in the next two phrases. You have to do your karma, and phal will come to you, it may not come to you, it may come to you in distorted fashion, it may come to you in incomplete way. Your job is to do the karma. That is important because that is the learning part. And somewhere a little ahead, in the fourth chapter, it says, Nahi jnanena sadrusham. We have heard this phrase also many times from this dais. Nahi jnanena sadrusham pavitra miha vidyate. So that learning is the ultimate, of ultimate glory. And that you have learned through your work, through your journey to your achievement. That is important. Now, most important question, sir, is how do you explain this to a school going or a college going youth for whom the entire ecosystem around him or her is A, competitiveness, B, and I am not shunning these ideas. They are important. Competitiveness, urge for your livelihood, urge for your luxury, these are not unnatural things. What we need to, because if money was so unimportant, then the Indian philosophy would not have described dharma, artha, kama, moksha as the four purusharthas. Dharma is important, kama is also important, and kama is interpreted in two ways. One, you should be able to enjoy the fruits of your dhana or vidya or achievement or whatever it is. Learn to enjoy, that is kama. The other meaning attached to kama is your urge to do a certain thing. That also is ascribed to the word kama. And this is considered as a purushartha. So no society can say that we don't want purusharthi people. So but what we have to tell our children is that, yes, this is the most natural thing, you should strive for it. And you should strive for it, in my opinion, not per se for the dhana or the kama, which is upabhog, but for the journey of having done that karma which would take you to that particular thing, according to me, because I firmly believe that, yes, jnana is the ultimate goal of my life at least. And I would like the next generation also to understand this the way I understand it. Maybe I will not be able to be very successful in telling them this, but this is my interpretation. So now, one very important thing that you said, how do we, the present generation being very scientific in their attitude, and they wouldn't like to accept anything that doesn't suit the logic. That's what we all try to describe. I would say something a little different. It's not the question of that generation. Take any generation, any human being, anybody for that matter. When we say the word buddhi, buddhi is always tarka pramanya, tarka shuddha. Something which is not tarka shuddha, your buddhi will not accept it. It's not the question of only the newer generation. It's also with our generation. Our buddhi will not accept something which is not, within quotes, scientific, true to logic, it stands to logic, will not accept it. So, but somewhere you said we also have to understand that there is something beyond that, right? So I will take 5 minutes to explain something with reference to physics. And pardon me, the physics is so much into my mind that I keep borrowing examples from that. Take a plate, keep some water in it, and leave it for some time. What will you see? After some time, you will know that, you will notice water has evaporated. Some part of it has evaporated, and then gradually the entire plate will be dry because every molecule has evaporated. Now, physics tells me that there is a natural bond of attraction between two molecules of water. And therefore, that bond of attraction does not allow those two molecules or many molecules, say 2000 molecules, to get too much separated from each other. On the other hand, all these molecules are in a constant journey. They're just moving around, they're hitting each other. And in the process of hitting each other, there is some give and take of energy from one molecule to another molecule. And whatever is the overall effect of that energy, we see that as temperature. And when we put fire or when we supply heat and that temperature rises to 100 degrees, then water starts boiling. We all know this much. If you heat it further, then water will start evaporating. What is the difference? And if you put a thermometer to the water which is getting evaporated, you will find the same temperature, 100 degree there, 100 degree here. But you have needed more heat to achieve evaporation. You cannot evaporate unless you supply extra energy from the boiling point. So why is this extra energy required? Or I would put it the other way. What happens is that some molecules are able to, in a way, steal the energy from other molecules. And so their own energy is so high that they are able to break that molecular attraction and then they go to the atmosphere. That's how the evaporation process takes place. Now, this stealing of energy from other molecules doesn't happen only at 100 degrees. It can happen at 15 degrees also. And that's the reason why when you keep some water in a plate, after some time you will find that everything is evaporated. Now, my idea is not to discuss the process of evaporation. What I want to say is, once those molecules are evaporated, they go into a newer, I would say, newer sphere of existence. They don't follow the same rules that they were following as the rules for the molecules of water. And this is what we have to understand. That there is a certain phase in our life, whether it is acquiring knowledge, acquiring wealth, acquiring work experience, there is a certain phase which will take you only up to the boiling point level. Now, beyond that, the phase has to change. And very aptly in physics, the word is phase change. So the phase is changing. And you have to understand that these rules will not apply there. So all we have to, in my opinion, what we have to tell the children, the newer generation, and pardon me for using the word children very often, but I very sincerely feel what we have to tell them is alternatives exist. This may be the best alternative. It's like you want to go from one place to another and Google tells you take this route. This is the fastest route to go. However, there will be one red patch here showing extra traffic density. There will be another there showing extra traffic density. Now, if your driver is a learned, experienced driver, then it will not look at Google and believe that it is showing you the fastest. He has learned from his experience that the traffic could be very wild. So he will try to take you through gully. And you will reach the destination without so much of traffic jams and other things. So this is what we have to tell the younger generation. Google may be showing you that this is the best way to achieve what you want to achieve. But always remember that there are alternatives available. And that is why we, in Indian ethos, we say, Ekam Satyaha, Satya ek hi hai, but जाने के रास्ते अलग अलग हैं. So everyone can have the option of choosing a different. And when I mentioned about Santosh, I didn't mean to say everyone has to learn to be Santoshi. No, there will be people who will be ambitious, and it is that ambition which in many ways makes them innovative, makes them struggle hard, makes them create amenities, makes them take the society forward. So ambition is a necessary part of life. The point for caution is be aware of the frustration that may come to you when the ambition is not fulfilled. So you don't have to be aware or worried about ambition. You have to be worried about the frustration that may result if the ambition is not fulfilled. And it is in that sense to remind you that be aware of the frustration is this famous line of Bhagavad Gita, Karmanyeva adhikaraste ma phaleshu kadachana. Be aware of that frustration. And remember that you need not be frustrated because there are other roads, other paths which are available to you. So this is the, so we have to tell them that these are the, very often I say in the government working also, if you cannot, you know that you cannot achieve the best, then look for what is better and at least achieve the better. Okay. I'm sorry. Okay. So, okay.
I will say nothing to young people. I'll say two of my eminent co-panelists have said everything. Please listen to them carefully and follow you. And let your journey be full of santosh.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. So thank you very much. I think we shall end this panel discussion now. And we have another, we have the valedictory function, and then we have the cultural program waiting for us. So thank you very much for all your support and participation in these 7 days. And we have no words to express our gratitude to all of you. Thank you very much, madam.
Thank you very much, sir. Shri Raghavan, sir, and our esteemed panelists for a deeply enriching and reflective sessions. With this, we formally conclude the Santhavani panel discussion. We now proceed to the valedictory function. On behalf of Bharatiya Vidya Bhavan Bengaluru, I extend a warm and respectful welcome to each one of you to the valedictory function of Santavani on this blessed evening of 21st November 2025. It is my privilege to warmly acknowledge and invite the dignitaries on the dais, our chief guest, Shri Jagdish Lakhani, sir, Executive Secretary and Director General, Bharatiya Vidya Bhavan, Mumbai, Shri K.G. Raghavan, Chairman, Bharatiya Vidya Bhavan, Bangalore, Shri H.N. Suresh, Director, Bharatiya Vidya Bhavan, Bengaluru. I also extend a respectful welcome to all our dignitaries, guests, scholars, artists, media friends, and the many Rasikas and devotees who have worked with us through these days. To formally welcome all of us to this valedictory function, I invite Shri K.G. Raghavan to deliver the welcome address. Sir, please.
Mr. Jagdish Lakhani, Executive General, Secretary General of the Bhavan, who has come at our request and graciously to Bangalore to be part of this Santavani program. My esteemed colleagues on the Kendra committee, respected guests here, Mr. H.N. Suresh, Director, Bharatiya Vidya Bhavan, Srimati Nagalakshmi Rao, Joint Director, ladies and gentlemen. I am indeed honored to be here before you today again to welcome all of you to this valedictory program. We have had 12 days of scintillating programs, and it has been a very varied program. We have had films, we have had lectures, we have had dramas, we have had music, and we have had some people reciting hymns. And from all works, we had a group, a choir reciting the Bible. We had our eminent speakers quoting from the various works. All this has come to us in one package under the name of Santavani. Today, as you will all agree, media, electronic media plays a very important role, and therefore we thought it appropriate to start Santavani with films. We have had films on the various savans from all across the country, and it was a tremendous success. And over the last 12 days, all of you have been part of this program and encouraged the Bhavan to organize many more such programs. I sincerely thank you for being part of us, and I heartily welcome Mr. Jagdish Lakhani, who has traveled all the way from Bombay only for today's event. Thank you, sir, and your presence is a great encouragement for us, and we value your time and effort and your commitment. This is, as you all know, this is the 8th in the series of programs that we have had over the last, I think, about 10 years, exclude the 2-year COVID period when everything was in a pause. We have had Veda Sandesha, we have had Upanishad Sandesha, we had a conference on Kavyas, we had a conference on Puranas, we had a conference on Ramayana, Mahabharata, Bhagavata, and now this is the program Santavani. At every of the previous programs, we did announce the next program. And I now have the privilege of announcing our next program. It's just a small modification to this word Santavani. It will be Sangeetavani. So the next conference in 2026 will be on Sangeetavani. And as you know, there is nothing that can unite people as music can do. Music from all across the world is what we want to project at our next conference, Sangeetavani 2026. We look forward to organizing it. We look forward to having all of you at the next conference and take things forward in order to promote Bharatiya Vidya. Thank you very much, sir, for coming here, and thank you all for your wonderful participation.
Thank you, sir, for your gracious and inspiring words. The brief report on Santavani. I now have the honor of presenting the brief report on Santavani. Santavani was organized by Bharatiya Vidya Bhavan, Bengaluru from 10th to 21st November 2025 as the 12-day festival celebrating the voice of the saints, the Santavani, through cinema, scholarship, music, dance and literature. On this single platform, we were able to accommodate various schools of thoughts and the saint movements. The festival was structured around a film festival on saint poets, the thematic lecture series on the Sampradaya presentations, music and dance feature every evening, and a book exhibition and sale on saints' tradition and related literature. Let me briefly place before you the highlights of the 12 days. The festival opened with a 5-day film festival on saint poets. Over these days, Five landmark films were screened, bringing to life the stories of the great Bhaktas on the big screen. Among them was a classic film from as early as 1936, which still held an audience spellbound even in 2025. The response and the film was truly heartwarming, with audience of all graces settled together. Many watches some of this classic for the very first time and responding with a deep devotion, silence, and applause. The film festival and book exhibition were inaugurated by Dr. T.S. Nagabarna and Dr. Narahalli Balasubramanya. On 15th November, the formal inauguration function of Santavani was held. The festival was inaugurated by the Dr. M. Veerappa Moily, former Chief Minister of Karnataka. The keynote address was delivered by Santavani Dr. R. Ganesh, eminent scholar. The chief guest address was delivered by Dr. Chiranjeevi Singh, former ambassador to UNESCO and Vice Chairman Bharatiya Vidya Bhavan. The presidential address by Shri K.G. Raghavan to set the tone for Santavani. In the afternoon, the focus was the Alwars and Nayanmars, the great Vaishnava and Shaiva saints poets of South India. From 16th to 28th November, the Santavani travelled across length and breadth of India day by day through its saints' traditions. On 16th November, the spotlight was the Nath Sampradaya and the saints from Orissa, followed by Haridasas Sampradaya. On 17th November, we explored the Vallabhacharya Sampradaya and the saints from Andhra Pradesh, along with powerful sessions on the Tattvapada tradition of Karnataka. On 18th November, the focus moved to the Guru Bani, the teachings of the six Gurus, and the Gaudiya Sampradaya, followed by an in-depth look at the Varkari Sampradaya and Maharashtra and the Ramanand Sampradaya. On 19th November, we turned to the Shiva Sharana tradition and then to the saints of Gujarat and Rajasthan and the saints of Bengal and neighboring regions. On 20th November, the focus was the saints of Tanjore province, including Tyagaraja and others. And on this saint of Kerala, whose bhakti was followed through temples, poetry and music. We also had a special interfaith sessions reflecting on the messages of Christ and message of Islam. Today, 21st November, we enter to the 12th and final day of Santavani 2025. The forenoon and afternoon session were dedicated to the contribution of Jaina Sampradaya Acharyas and saints, the teachings of Buddha, the devotional practice of the Kanwariya Sampradaya, and a reflection session of Bhakti, its genesis and synthesis. Santavani 2025 through gather not just a tradition or on one language, but a living lamp of Indian bhakti from ancient time to the present, from north to south, from east to west, and across different faiths. Let me now present a Santavani in number very briefly. Over 12 days, Santavani 2025 hosted a continuous flow of programs, morning and evening. We screened 5 landmark movies on saint poets, including a classic from 1936. Across the festival, we were blessed by the presence of 45 dignitaries, speakers, and resource persons, respecting a wide geographical and spiritual spread from Tamil Nadu, Karnataka, Andhra Pradesh, and Kerala to Maharashtra, Gujarat, Rajasthan, Orissa, West Bengal, and beyond. And from tradition includes Alwars and Nayanmars, Varkari, Sikh Gurus, Gaudiya and Ramananda Sampradaya, Shiva Sharana, Jain and Buddhist saints, Christian and Sufi voice, and their many others. On every evening, programs brought together 148 eminent artists and ensemble members, classical music, dance, choirs, and folk artists offering concerts, dance, drama, tattvapada, recital, ballet, and thematic performance that turn the stage into the living temple of music and movement. And perhaps most quality of all saints was held together by around 40 dedicated volunteers, staff members, and coordinators, the hands and hands behind the session who took care of everything from light, sound to the hospitality, logistic, and audience comfort. We offer our heartfelt pranams to each one of them. On behalf of Bharatiya Vidya Bhavan Bengaluru, I place on record our deep gratitude to our head office and Shri Jagdish Lakhani sir, Executive Secretary of proposed to bring out a deluxe book of the presentation of the events. We also thank our subcommittee chairman, Shri Chiranjeevi Singh sir, and the members of the setting up an excellence agenda for the Santavani, hereby fulfilling its purpose. We further thank Shri Jagdish Lakhani sir for having agreed to be the chief guest of this valedictory session. We extend our sincere thanks to our media partners, Prajavani, Deccan Herald, and other media friends for giving generous coverage to Santavani and taking its message to wider public. This year, Santhavani was also live streamed, enable Rasikas for beyond Bangalore to participate. Our presentation our presentation sessions were streamed on the BVB Bangalore YouTube channel on Prajavani's Facebook page. We thank all our online viewers who joined us from their home within India and abroad. This use of technology is very much in keeping with the vision of our chairman, Shri K.G. Raghavan, that the Bhavan should enhance its connectivity with the world, and that our cultural and spiritual programs must reach people wherever they are in this age of digital communication. To all those watching us online, we offer our namaskara and gratitude. In this conclusion, Santavani has reminded us that the voice of the saints, the Santavani, it is not a voice of past alone. It is continuity call us humanity, compassion, courage, and inner transformation every day. With these words, I humbly conclude this brief report on Santavani. Thank you. We now come to the very special moment on this evening's program, the chief guest address. We are deeply honored to have with us Shri Jagdish Lakhani sir, Executive Secretary and Director General, Bharatiya Vidya Bhavan, Mumbai, who is steering the guiding the Bhavan's activities across the country and has been a strong pillar of support for the initiative taken up by Bhavan's Bangalore. I respectfully invite Shri Jagdish Lakhani sir to address the gathering.
Sir, with your permission, I just forgot to mention one very important thing. I'm sorry, I forgot to mention something very important. 2025-2026 is a very important year in the annals of the Bangalore Kendra of the Bharatiya Vidya Bhavan. This year, we are celebrating the 60th year of the Bhavan. And you will see this logo that has been put as part of the Diamond Jubilee celebrations. Now, this is the first program that we have had as part of the Diamond Jubilee program, and it is our ambition that we should have 60 programs this year. And as part of the program, and as part of the celebration of the Bharatiya Vidya Bhavan's Diamond Jubilee, we are proposing to come up with a coffee table book. A coffee table book which we are planning will comprise of the best articles that have been published ever in the Bhavan's journal, and various other articles on art, culture, philosophy, religion from all across the world. And that's the plan that we have, and hopefully by the Sangeetavani of 2026, we will be able to release this coffee table book. And as you are all aware, after every conference and the next conference, we release a book with all the papers presented at that conference, with also a QR code, so that if you want to really hear that, you just have to go to the QR code and you will be able to have the audio also of that. So the papers presented at Santavani 2025 will also be released in the form of a book at Sangeetavani 2026. Thank you very much.
Namaste, everyone. Chairman of Bhavan's Bangalore Kendra, respected Raghavan. Chairperson of Bhavan's Pune Kendra, respected Leena Mahendreji. Vice Chairman Anandji. Director Sureshji. Honorary Secretary Manandi Sureshji. Joint Director Naglakshmiji. Office bearers, Kendra committee members, distinguished guests. It is indeed an honor for me to come today and be a part of this wonderful 12-day program, Santhavani. And while I attended the panel discussion, 2-3 things happened. I mean, one was that it made my task a bit difficult because I had come with a speech, a written speech, which I have just trashed. Because after listening to Raghavanji and Leenaji and our Ganesh Deviji, it would be like showing light to the sun, what I was to talk. More importantly, it also made me feel that, you know, it would have been better if I would have probably been here a couple of days earlier and attended some of the sessions. Because when I saw the invitation card, which came to me 2-3 weeks back, such a beautifully conceptualized program. And I'm sure that the kind of effort which Raghavanji, Sureshji and the entire team must have put in, so much must have gone into identifying the subjects, the speakers, and the entire compilation. I mean, it's fabulous, and our hearts swell with pride that we have such wonderful Bhavanites amongst our mates. I think it was around 3 to 4 weeks back that I got a call from Raghavanji that we are having the Santavani program, a 12-day event. And I think initially Raghavanji had asked me to join for the inauguration, which was I think on the 14th, but I was traveling. So he immediately told me that, okay, then 21st is the day that you have to be in Bangalore. And, you know, I have a lot of respect and admiration for Raghavanji. I mean, I cannot just tell him no, except if there is something which is so exceptional that I would have to. So I immediately said, okay, sir, as you say, and here we are. For the Bhavan, these programs are very, very critical. And I say this purely from the perspective that, you know, Bharatiya Vidya Bhavan, as you all would be knowing, we run around 99 schools, 91 in India. And on a day-to-day basis, we come across several critical issues related to the children. I mean, we have around 2 lakh children in the age group of 3 to 18 years, from nursery to higher secondary. And in today's times, and which was rightly being discussed also in the panel discussion, matters like anxiety, stress, digital addiction, and shorter attention spans. Children today, I mean, we keep talking and all of a sudden we realize that they are already in another world. peer pressures, several other different pressures that they face. They may be facing that in school, they may be facing it in the society. But what it brings about is a serious mental health issue. And as Leena ji rightly pointed out, amongst the youngsters, suicides are the biggest cause of worry. The other important issue is substance abuse, which is also, I mean, particularly in certain states, it is an area of grave concern for all of us. And when we discuss this with our principals, with our education officers, with our education department, it really brings a chill around our spine that what are we tackling? What are we dealing with? And while counseling, etc., which is recommended and which is done also, that is only after identifying the problem that the counselor comes into the picture. But we require solutions at the inception that children do not get into these stages. And for that, I think going back to the roots, uh, to the mystics, the sadhu sants' sayings, the traditions, probably leading us to various forms, yoga, meditation, and obviously which requires a lot of further debate as to how do we inculcate these values amongst our children. But I think it is the need of the hour. We all, it is a duty cast upon all of us, particularly institutions like the Bhavan, who are catering to such a large section of the society, that we find solutions, we mold the children, because it's a very delicate age. The responsibility is huge on us, and that is why I think discourses and discussions like these are very critical. And once we have them on platforms like these, it should also gradually be curated for other platforms so that they reach the parents, they reach the general public at large, and the importance of these issues are highlighted to a great extent. As for the Bangalore Kendra, well, I first of all, I congratulate the Kendra on the 60th year of its inception. Uh, I have been with the Bhavan formally since 4 years, and I have been closely associated with the Bangalore Kendra. In fact, I have participated in quite a few events that have been organized. And I can say this proudly that the contribution of the Bangalore Kendra in the promotion of Indian culture is phenomenal. Bangalore, the Bangalore Kendra has become a nerve center for the Bhavan, and the other Kendras of the Bhavan look up to Bangalore and other Kendras like Chennai, who are so active and so vibrant in this field that they want to take a cue as to how do they come up with such wonderful ideas, how do they conceptualize these programs, how do they implement them. So obviously these the coffee table books and particularly the books on the mystics, etc., are going to be valuable. But at the same time, we are also planning in the near future to have another conference for the Bharati Vidya Bhavan Kendras to understand as to how do such programs conceptualize and come up. So again, a lead for Bangalore to take in organizing something like this. Amongst the 60, probably this can be one program, sir. A valedictory function is a closing, but I think, let us call it a beginning. Apart from the beginning of the celebrations of the 60th year, it should be the beginning of such wonderful programs. And I hope and pray that the audience who has been so supportive for the 12-day event continues to shower their blessings on the Bhavan with their presence, and in turn encourages us to organize such events as early as possible and as many as possible. With this, I thank everybody who has been a very integral part in organizing the Santavani program. And I hope to be back in Bangalore soon. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Sri. Thank you very much, sir, for those inspiring and thoughtful words. We are truly grateful your presence and your blessings. I now request our director and chairman, Shri K.G. Raghavan and H.N. Suresh sir to felicitate our esteemed guest.
So nice that you came. We are very grateful to you. Please come. Yeah, we should have joined us. Anand, you just achieved. Which is not right. No, but we'll take it. The program is an announcement. You announce that the cultural program. Thank you. Thank you. That the cultural program.
The only thing is, thanks to our webcast team led by Pradeep, and they have seen to it that this program reaches at least 1,000 people online. So special thanks to them. And I also thank MAS College people who have sent their students with their teachers here. And of course, Madam has already talked about Decadal Peshawari. They have carried a lot of interesting things. President of Suchitra Film Society, who curated films, Sri Narahari Rao, thank him for on behalf of the Bhavan, and our staff, particularly work day and night, and Ravi Kumar for having organized the book exhibition and all other things. And Santavani is going to come up. Really, Raghavan ji is another dream which will come true. So thanks to Jagdish ji and I have made it possible to be here. We are going to have Ramanuja Vaibhavam dance drama. Please join us in the Kinch Auditorium. Namaskar.